For more debates, updates, and bonus content, sign up at thebigconversation.show. The question of why is there a universe with physical laws, and does that itself need an explanation? You feel that that goes beyond the purview of science, in your view?
Yes, actually, so I wouldn't even know how to formally phrase the question that you just posed. But even the question that Luke's puts forward, like about the fine tuning, I would already say that this is not a scientific question. It's just not a question that we know how to address with science, and you can certainly ask for an explanation, but it won't be a scientific explanation. So my issue with this whole fine-tuning argument, and by the way, this isn't only something that comes up in cosmology and astrophysics. Particle physicists also use very similar arguments, though they phrase them a little bit differently. So it's not exactly the same story, but a very, very similar ones. That's just a conflation between scientific reasoning and you can call it philosophical reasoning or maybe religious reasoning, depending on what side you're on.
Sure. Luke, what do you think it's a legitimate scientific question to ask? Where do the laws come from? Where does the universe come from? To kind of, I suppose, go beyond the basic fact of physical reality to ask, does physical reality need an explanation?
Well, let me shock the audience and say no. It's a philosophical question. It's not a scientific question. I totally agree with that. If you think that the only good questions are scientific questions, then you'll think that these aren't good questions. I'd want to know why you think that. And the problem is, if you think you have a good answer to the question, why are all good questions scientific questions? That's going to be a philosophical answer because it's a philosophical question. Anyway, the point I make, so I don't want to replace science with God, right? This is not the point. We'll keep doing science because, of course, we will. I will. I want to know how this whole place works. The point of this is, I think the way I'd want to phrase this, I don't actually like the phrase demands an explanation or needs an explanation. I think it's what matters is the possibility of a better explanation. That's all we have, and an explanation with fewer assumptions is a better explanation. The constants are assumptions, and so off we go. In terms of the fine-tuning argument, what we're trying to think of is imagine this is it, and actually for most people don't. I think most physicists would not accept that. Maybe this is just the way the universe is. That would be highly unlikely. But whatever. Suppose this universe is the way it is. Are there any deeper questions we still want to understand? And I think you've got two options here. You have a whole bunch of questions like, why is there a universe at all? Why is the universe the way it is rather than some other way? Why does the universe obey scientific laws at all rather than just being a collection of events with no patterns at all? Why is there a universe in which life can exist when we have so many examples of universes where it couldn't? What do we do with those questions? And they're not scientific questions because science can't answer them. What do we do with them? We either say science is it, we throw them out, we try and, you could call that naturalism. Sean Carroll calls that naturalism. I think that's his book right there. You either say, these are not the questions we could ever get an answer to. We certainly can't get a scientific answer, and so we can't get any answer. Or, whatever reason you have for that. Or the other option is, let's look at the sort of things that might be able to explain it. And the theistic answer is, the fine-tuning argument tries to say that there is the possibility of a better explanation. Whether it cries out for explanation, I think, is an unhelpful phrase, actually. But there's the possibility of not just saying this is the way it is, but it's the way it is for a certain reason. And if that can actually do some explanatory work for us, perhaps not in terms of calculation, but in terms of rendering something that we know to be true to be more likely than it would otherwise be, because probabilities change as a function of the hypothesis that you're assuming. That's an important point. then we've got a reason there to think that those deeper questions have answers.